Germany was in crisis on Monday as Angela Merkel fought to rescue her chancellorship following the collapse of coalition talks. Europe's predominant power and the country to which the continent has looked for stability for over a decade was facing its own political drama and weeks if not months of damaging uncertainty. We are now facing a situation that has never happened before in the history of the Federal Republic of Germany, that is for almost 70 years. President Frank-Walter Steinmeier said. In an unusually strongly worded statement to the nation, Mr. Steinmeier rejected calls for new elections and called on the political parties to pause and reconsider their positions. The mission to form a government remains. You cannot just hand back responsibility to the electorate, he said. All political parties elected to parliament must act for the common good. I expect a demonstration of readiness to form a government in the near future. But the prospects of an agreement looked bleak after Mrs. Merkel's last hope, her former coalition partners in the Social Democratic Party (SPD), refused to throw her a lifeline. The SPD is the only party with enough seats to prop up Mrs. Merkel in a two-way coalition. But its leader, Martin Schulz, vowed to take the party into opposition after it suffered its worst-ever result in September's election. And he made clear on Monday that he was standing by his decision. We consider it important that citizens can reassess the situation. We do not shy away from new elections. We are not available for entry into coalition given the election results of September 24, the party said in a statement. That leaves Mrs. Merkel a choice between attempting to form a minority government and holding new elections. Post-war Germany has never had a minority government and Mrs. Merkel has made clear that she does not want to head the first. She said on Monday that new elections would be the better path, insisting she was ready to lead her party into a fresh poll. However, she will fear further losses in a new election, and her Christian Democratic Union Party CDU may decide it would fare better under new leadership. All eyes are now on Mrs. Merkel. For the first time in more than 12 years in power she looks in serious trouble, and Germany is talking of an end to the Merkel era. President Steinmeier may now be her best hope of holding on to power. The German constitution gives the president considerable leeway to delay the process, and he made it clear on Monday he does not want new elections and is prepared to give the parties more time to negotiate. There is no strict deadline to form a government, although it is thought the current impasse could last months as President Steinmeier has the power to decide when fresh elections are called. Mrs. Merkel is believed to have told party allies privately that her fate is now in Mr. Steinmeier's hands. As a former SPD leader, the president can bring considerable pressure on the party to change its mind. But that may not necessarily be good news for Mrs. Merkel. There were suggestions on Monday that the party would only be willing to take part in a coalition under a new chancellor. At a glance, Angela Merkel's rivals be Justin Hugler and Berlin Jens Spahn 37, junior finance minister has sought to position himself as the voice of the conservative right of the party. At 37, has age on his side and is one of few senior CDU figures to have taken a stand against Mrs. Merkel. But that has made him powerful enemies. Ursula von der Leyen 59, currently defense minister, was touted as Mrs. Merkel's successor in waiting when she became defense minister in 2013. But has made a mess of that job and is disliked by the armed forces. Scandals include shortages that saw troops forced to use broomsticks instead of guns, and the discovery a serving officer was planning a false flag terror attack. Wolfgang Scha Dierisse 75, currently Speaker, previously Finance Minister. The alternative chancellor throughout Mrs. Merkel's reign is highly respected in European circles and the one man who could definitely do the job. But at 75 he would only be a caretaker. Would not be a popular choice in Greece, where he is a hate figure over his opposition to a bailout. Thomas de Maizière 63, currently Interior Minister, most senior figure in the party after Mrs. Merkel and Mr. Schäuble. Experienced and respected. But Interior Minister was seen as his natural ceiling, and is tarnished by his handling of the 2015 migrant crisis. Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer 55, currently Regional Prime Minister of Saarland State, known as Mini Merkel or AKK. Hugely effective campaigner. Was first to turn around party fortunes after the 2015 migrant crisis with a surprise victory in regional elections in March. distanced herself from Mrs. Merkel's refugee policy, but is not a national figure, and her political base is in Saarland, a tiny state with a population of under 1 million. Show more. The CDU rallied around Mrs. Merkel.